hate the sight of me. All right then. If you're a weary but honest wanderer, I invite you in. But if you're a brigand or a thief, then I warn you, this house does what I intend to. Within these walls, I rule. He lifted his hairy paw. All the shutters clapped against the wall once more, and deep in the dolphin stone gun I invite you in. Geralt. What's that do with you? No doubt. I want to stop. Well, Fox, are you agreeing to my generous invitation? If not, game's over there. Geralt, balance it. I accept your invitation.
He actually got a hit in.
I outspeed you. Although, this way, dear guest, leave a horse here and well. The interior was in excellence, although it was reasonably clean. The furniture had been made by skilled craftsmen, if a very long time ago. A pungent smell of dust hung in the dark rooms. Lights ground, and the torch inside bracket burst into flames and smoke. Mine, remarked Richard. The monster cackled. That's it. I see you have been made by any old tricks. I told you this house obeys my command. This way, please. Be careful. The stairs are steep. Light. On the stairs, the monster said, "What's that around your neck, dear guest?" The creature took the hand of his ear, lifted it up to its eyes, heightened chain around the house. The animal has an unpleasant expression. What is it? My guild's badge. Ah, you went bottled it, you count. This way, please. Light. The center of the large room, completely devoid of windows, was taken up by a huge oak table, empty apart from an enormous brass candlestick, slowly taking green and power with hardened wax. At the monster's command, the candles lit and flickered brightly in the interior. One wall was hung with weapons, compositions of round shields, crossed partisans, javelins, and easel, heavy sabers and axes. Half of the adjacent wall was taken up by an enormous fireplace, above which hung rows of flaking, hidden portraits. The wall facing the entrance was filled with hunting trophies, elks and stag antlers, branching ranks, long shadows across brimming mounted heads of wild boar, bear, wolves, with ruffled and frayed wings of eagles and hawks. The place of honor was filled by a rock dragon's head, painted brown, damaged, and leaking stubby. Geralt examined it closely. My grandpa killed it, said the monster, throwing a huge log to the depths of the fireplace. It was probably the last one in the vicinity when it got itself killed. Sit, my dear guest. You're hungry. I won't deny it, the host. The monster sat at the table, lowered his head, clasped his hairy paws over his stomach, muttered something, fiddling in his nuts, then suddenly thumping the table with his paw. Dishes and platters rattled like pewter and silver, chalices jingled like crystal. There was a smell of roasting, garlic, margarine, and nut. Geralt did not show any surprise. Yes, the monster rubbed his hands. This is better than servant, isn't it? Help yourself, dear guest. Here's some fowl, here's some boar. Here, Torino. I didn't really want something. Here we have some hazel grouse. Partridge. I got the scales buttoned up. These are enough. This is proper real food, don't worry. I'm not worried. Geralt tore the salad. I forgot. You're not in. What shall I call you? Geralt. And your name? The host. You then. But this will be dead. Fine. around here.
Yes.
Usually to frighten the children.
The odds are against us.
The monster or the contents
But
of
they
the
will
door's
always
chalice
be against
of
us.
which he sank his fingers in the terrine, tearing half of it from the mouth at one go.
Cal,
His rhyme
can
children
we fight your way
to get
out
out
of
of this
some
stuff.
situation?
Now he's leaving, no doubt. Your health, get out. And yours, you know it. How's the wine? Now you notice that it's green, not apple. Not if you don't like it, I'll conjure up an issue. Thank you. It's not mine. Are your magical powers innate? So, now, growing this trap, that is. I don't know how it happened myself, but the house does whatever I wish. Nothing very big. I can conjure up food, drink, clothes, clean linen, hot water, soap. Any woman can do that, and without using magic there. I can open and close windows and doors like that of fire. Nothing very remarkable.
Now this is more my speed, so.
And this shrine, as you call it, have you had it long? Well, they haven't. What's it got to do with you? Pour yourself some more wine. With pleasure. It's got nothing to do with me. Asking no experiences. Acceptable week.
I'll get
You
the
get
hang of
this.
this.
But I don't accept it. It's got nothing to do with you. That's that. But that's to satisfy your curiosity. I'll show you what I used to look like. But the first of the two is my father. The second, also English. And the third is me. You see, beneath the dust slaves, a nondescript, floating, sad, sopping face of the get out. It's raining. Are you sure? His eyes shone hands. My book is hung long and trembled. I listen. That is not. And it's put to get up, go closer, and no doubt have to take the candlestick with you. So, that yeah. That's quite rough. Surely, when you have this fire, in that case, what you are. A witch. Ah. If I remember rightly, witches are very an interesting way. They kill monsters for nothing. Remember your silence. Candle flames are seen, flitting upwards in little system of the crystal chalices. Cascade one thing. 11. Satisfied. Asleep, said finally. That you draw your sword before I jump. Let's assume you managed to hunt me down. With my weight, that won't stop here. I'll take you down to sheer momentum, and then it's peace that'll decide. What do you think of each other? One of us has a better chance when it comes to biting each other's throats. Geralt said in grass you can stop with his style. All himself stuff. On the sea, and leaned back in his chair. He was watching the monster in the sun. Conversation about him. Sitting out his feet, one has to admit that you can't questions without using any words. It'd be interesting to see how you manage the next one. Please don't deal with me. No one. I made it by accident. So not very high. Not from hands of mine. Oh. I've heard about witches. They're dark and true. They feel the ones who spy are witches themselves, sorcerers with powers. They are taught to kill all human feelings and reactions of hardship and suffering. They are turned into monsters to kill other monsters. I've heard it said it's high time someone started hunting witches, as there are fewer and fewer monsters, or witches. Who has the power? Partridge fish, pudding, jewels, punching, scissors, bones, crackers, crushing into his teeth. Why do you stay?
Oh, nice.
How much of the rumors about you witches is true? I give them up. And once and last,
Only one way to find out.
you know, monsters. Choose. Fairness wonderful. One is sitting in front of me, wondering if he did the right thing by inviting you. I didn't like your deal fact right from the start, dear, I guess. You are just fox, that's so. Crow, what am I? Cranberry pudding. A flock of wild geese flying south on a sad November morning. No, maybe I'm the virgin, and there is buxom daughter lost in spring. Well, get out. Tell me what I am. Can't you see I'm shaking curiosity?
You're not a monster. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to touch this silver train. And in no way could you hold my value.
Little Lord, so powerful that the candle flames fell horizontal from it. Today, very clearly, is a day for revealing great and terrible secrets. Now I'm going to be told that I grew these ears because I didn't like milky porridge as a child.
They know. Yeah. It's happened because it's sad. I'm sure you know who takes some stand.
And what if I do?
In many cases, the stand can be unjust.
You, as a witcher, and my cotton shell, in many cases, I know.
Back to
That's
it.
right.
No, I don't.
The monster opened his jaws, opened his tongue, and she was standing on.
Surprised and I asked him.
Nothing else.
The monster giggled and I knew that. Follow the answer. Come, I'll tell you that. Witcher or not, you got an on it. Call yourself more. Not one. Oxford. The monster cleared his throat. The front gate his forward. A large earthenware diligence must appear next to the two empty glass. The developed tall ceilings on his teeth. As no doubt you would notice, he began pouring the wine. This is quite a remote area. It's a long way to the nearest human settlement. It's because, you see, my father and my grandfather too at the time didn't make themselves particularly loved by our neighbors or the merchants who lived behind us. If anyone went astray here, and my father shot him from the town, they lost and lost their fortune. And a couple of the dearest were burned, and my father decided to live would be mine. Not many they liked my father, except for me. I cried often with what was left of my father after a blow from a two-handed tree. Grandpa didn't deny robbery because he sings in the head of one but he drew then he did up and I was young at the time. A real milk shop. So the lad crew wound me around their little fingers in a flat. I was as much in command as then as a fat pig is of a pack of wolves. We soon began doing things that father would never have allowed had he been alive. I'll spare you the details to get straight to the point. One day, we took ourselves as far as Jellyborn near Mert and robbed it. A young Christian was there too. We'd still another pox over the nose, and it must have been a bad one. It must smell bones and watermelon. A green fire was burning. It stank over the distance. But to the bottom, The lads overpowered the priestess and stripped her, then said I had become a man. Well, I became a man, stupid and smart that I was. While I was achieving manhood, the priestess spat in my face, screamed something. What? That I was a monster in human skin. That I'd be a monster in a monster's skin. Something about love or blood, I can't remember. She must have had the dagger and its blood hidden in her hair. She killed herself there. We let the men get out. I'm telling you, we nearly wore our horses out. I've seen it's going to rain. See, the pattern and the sun I remember the water passed away. It was fair. I knew if I did a heart, this new house was strong. And the house kept my best longer. Doors slammed, furniture here, fire broke out.
Look at those.
Whoever I could get out ran away in a panic. My arm out, the lads from the crew. What am I saying? Even the dogs howled, cowed. My cat, Glop, ran away. Even my aunt's parrot kicked the bucket of fear. I was alone, roaring, howling, going mad, smashing whatever came to hand, leaving mirrors. Then, sighed, sleep. Time was over. It was enough. Before no mission. I wasn't. I couldn't explain to anyone, only my appearance and gait. Let alone this horrible shape. Just a stupid youngster, sobbing with servant bodies. I was afraid he'd come back and kill me before I could explain. But nobody returned. The monster was silent for a moment, wiped his nose on his sleeve. Pointed the back of the inside their eyes and get out of his still deeply shaking like a cold. I'll get to the point. For a long time, a very long time, I sat in the manor, quiet as a mouse, not stirring from the place. If anyone appeared, which rarely happened, I would go out. I'd tell the house to slam the shutter a couple of times, or I'd roar through the gargoyle, and that was usually enough for the would-be guest for the finale. So that's how it was. Until one day, I looked out of the window, one pale gone. And what did I see? Fleshbearer stealing a rose from my aunt's bush. And he didn't just any old rose bush. He was a blue roses from the Zea. It was grandfather who brought the seedlings. I flew into a fury and jumped outside. The fat Fleshbearer, when he got his boyfriend, he lost it when he saw me. Squealed that he only wanted a few flowers for his daughter, that I could spare his life with his help. I was just ready to kick him out of the main gate, when I remembered something. Stories, limp, I nearly feel bad, Mr. Selby. Partly, I thought, if pretty girls had frogs in the prison, or the other way round, then maybe there's a grain of truth in these stories. That's honest. I leapt 4 yards, roared so loud the wild lion tumbled from the window, and I yelled, "Your daughter or your life!" Nothing better came to mind. The merchant, of course, was a merchant, began to weep. They were convinced that his daughter was the victim. Are you laughing? No. I didn't know when to laugh or cry for my shitty hate. I felt sorry for the old trader. Couldn't quite shake her. I invited him to supper, egg and bacon. I went to the TV. I poured gold, precious stone into his bag. There was still there 40% the office day. I hadn't quite known what to do with it, so I could allow myself this gesture. But being his sentence was forced he must have boasted about an adventure somewhere, because not 2 weeks gone by when another merchant appeared. He had a pretty large bag ready with him, and a daughter, also pretty large. The other extended his legs on the table and stretched until the armchair creaked. I came to an understanding with the merchant. He didn't have with me for a year. I had to help him load the sack to the roof. He was managed by himself. And the girl, she had to deal with the sight. She really thought I'd eat her. But after a month, we were eating at the same table, chatting, going for long walks. She was kind and smart. I gave tongue-tied. See, I was always shy with girls. Always made enough of myself, even wenches from the township who's dug up to their knees. Girls, the lads from the crew turned over this way and that at will. They wanted something to say nothing about it. This, I couldn't not say anything. Why not? The image ran at the stage followed by the wooden troops, till at last the merchant arrived. A yacht done. If the act was at a month, they didn't get done. So, after a year spent with company, I realized how hard it was to live without anyone to talk to. The monster made a noise which was supposed to be a sign, but came out through my head. The next one, he set up a house, was called Senna. She was small, bright, jerky. She wasn't frightened. What? Only anniversary, I said, yeah. I was coming of age. We both drunk too much meat. Straight after, I jumped out of bed and ran to the river. Must be disappointed. I was as it ever was, with its like stupid expression. They say it's believed we found in the fence. It's not worth his shit. Then, good to be tied with forget my worries. She was a jolly girl. You know what she thought? We both were frightened and wanted to get. Imagine a kid like that into the courtyard. Surround the book. I charged at it on all fours. Then I completely naked, sitting on my back and blowing my grandfather's hunting wall. He just shook with laughter, while his hands flashing. He stayed with her. Stayed with me for a year. In return, her son, Calvin. She was preparing to marry a Calvin. Fixing. Scratching itself. Right? And the next one. Feeling and crossing a skinny horse, a rusty cuirass, and incredibly big. He was as hideous as a pig. Feeling, weight in my right hand, see while he was. She was confident. I didn't frighten her. I would surprise her. Then, in my trouble, he turned out quite. It's like the age of confidence. Seized the moment by the after 2 previous time, already had a very close relationship. She liked to talk about the year. I did it again.
how long they were
Try
stationed.
it hard.
It's like a weird around very forms.
I'd rather
Let's hope that tower at the top of the array has
fun. Just imagine, I looked at myself as though it knew times. Less and less did I long to return to my solitude. See, Gerard, I linked with you and King, and now I'm strapping something. I keep getting ill. Now, my nose will run. Now, I don't catch anything. And my teeth, believe how long my teeth have been. Now, I bite the leg of a chair. Do you want me to bite a chair leg? No, I don't. Maybe that's good. Also, I should off could be not significant hours. Develop it's enormous talent, no nothing to He's talking and they tired, German. Briefly, there were two on the printer, Ilka and Enamira. Everything happened in the same way as put of order. First, a little sear reserve, then a flare of soup, reinforced by form, precious beans, then finally eat there. Daddy's return, tender soul, increasing discernible depletion of treasury. I decided to Of course, I'd long ago stopped virgin cheese, transformed the way I moved, and I'd come to terms with it. And once more, I come to the conclusion that things were fine as they were, and that there wasn't any need for changing. Really, no changes developed. It's true, I have a horse's health, which came with the way I look, for one. But secondly, by being different works on girls like an aphrodisiac. Don't laugh. I'm certain that as a human, I'd have to give a mighty good chase to get a girl like, for example, Yenmira, who was an extremely beautiful lady. Posted a glass of fight at the same. And thirdly, secretly, father had enemies, and a couple of them had survived. People from the crew, under my pitiful leadership, and since their graves, had relatives. There's gold in the cellar. If it wasn't for the fear inspired by me, somebody would come get it, if only peasants with pitchforks. You seem quite sure, Geralt remarked, playing with an empty chalice, but you haven't offended anyone in your present shape. No father, no daughter, no relative or daughter's betrothed. Leave off, Geralt. That's indignant. What are you talking about? The fathers couldn't contain themselves from joy. I told you, I was incredibly generous. And the daughters, you didn't see them when they got here in their dresses of sackcloth, their little hands raw from washing, their shoulders stooped from carrying buckets. Even after 2 weeks with me, Frigga still had marks on her back and thighs from the strap her knightly father had beaten her with. They walked around like princesses here, having nothing but a sack, and didn't even know where the kitchen was. I dressed them up and covered them with trinkets. At the click of a finger, I conjure up hot water, gin bath. Father had plundered for my mother, an acid guard. Can you imagine? A tin bath? Hardly a leader. What am I saying? Hardly a law. But a tin bath. This was a house for a fairy tale of get up. And as far as they may not talk about it. Virgin or rare day, never rocked that. I didn't support it. What is it? Sounds what in the conflict you might tell is having water. Yes. What do you know? They don't really decide. Are you alone now? Which I think that in principle, I ought to insult you, take you by the neck, and throw you down the stairs. You know why? Because you treat me like a demon. I noticed how you cocking your ears and glancing at the door. You know perfectly well I don't live alone. Am I right? You are. Sorry. Foxford holidays. Have you seen one? Yes. In the forest by the gate. It's she, my merchants and daughters have been leaving here empty-handed for some time. You know about that too? Yeah. She is doing it. Do you mind if I ask? Yes, I do mind. Silence. Oh, well, it's up to you. What would you find this thing? Thanks for your hospitality, dear host. The time I was on my way. Quite right. You know, also, for certain reason, I can't offer you a room in an Anderson tonight. And I don't encourage you to stay the night in the wood. Ever since the area's been threatened, being bad at night here, you ought to get back to the highway before now. I'll bear that in mind, Helen. Are you sure? I'll tell you. It's big from answer my question. No. You had some bad luck. Of all the temples in Bellicor in Lindar Valley, you picked the church of Coromite there. The lion-head spider. In order to let it do its strong research of Coromite, knowledge and powers that I don't possess. No doubt. So, but it's left after all. You said things were fine as they are. As they are, yes. Not as they might be. I'm afraid of. What are you afraid of? The monster stopped at the door to the ruins. I've had enough of your questions, which you keep asking instead of answering mine. Obviously, you've got to be asked in the right way. Listen. For some time now, I've had hideous dreams. Maybe the word monstrous would be more accurate. Am I right to be afraid of grief? Have you ever had anything that would make you such a dream?
I
I
remember
would want
dancing
to
and bed
see
say
what
what has
the
me
master whisper.
And how do you? Listen. You're rightly afraid. It should be done about grief. Please. No. Fine. Let's go. I'll see you out. In the courtyard, as Geralt that us in the sunlight, smoke in the nostrils as them. Roach leaves the rest, lowered her head. Animals like me, because of the monster, and I like them too. My cat, Lucky, ran away at the beginning, but she came back later. For a long time, she was the only living creature who kept me comfortable by this walk. Verena, too, broke off the rings. Geralt smiled. But she was too. She developed bared its teeth. I gave myself away. But what's the harm? She isn't another merchant's daughter, Geralt, or another attempt to find a grain of truth, those folktales. It's serious. We love each other. If you laugh, I'll stop you. In all yours is something. She managed me, and the language I do. She doesn't need to do food. She isn't. I want to today from him. He comes. No doubt because she wouldn't tell you. I'm sure of it. You know how frightened Rusalka are of people. Hardly anybody's seen a Rusalka up close, but die. Of course, take care now. The butcher probably prepared the side with his heel. Towards the gate. Yes. Yes. I'm not a slave, as you think. You came here following the track of the merchants who imperiated you. As something happened once. Yes. The last is stolen. Not one of the created that way. I command the house to close all the doors and shutters and give no sign of life. They wandered around the courtyard. Oh, rooms are unfreezing. Too much, but be careful. This is a horrible area. I told them that the forest is a secret place of mine. How many things are and cheap.
So
So
is
it's
clears
ways
my head.
ahead.
Thanks, Phil. I'll remember about it. You'll notice. Maybe I'll find someone who maybe yes and maybe no. It's my problem, Gerard. My life and my passion. I've learned to put up with it. I've got used to it. If it gets worse, I'll get used to that.
Wages next month.
And if it gets far worse, don't look for anybody. Come here yourself and put an end to it. As a witcher. Yeah, get up. He leveled and marched briskly towards the manor. He didn't look round again. Part 3. The area was deserted, wild and ominously inhospitable. Geralt didn't return to the highway before dusk. He didn't want to take a roundabout route, so he took a shortcut through the forest. He spent the night at the bare summit of a high hill, his sword on his knees, beside a tiny campfire, into which every now and then he threw wisps of bugswood. In the middle of the night, he noticed the glow of a fire far away in the valley. He heard mad howling and singing, and a sound which could only have been the screaming of a torch. When dawn had barely broken, he made his way there, to find nothing but a trampled glade and charred bones and still ashes. Something sitting in the crown of the enormous oak shrieked and hissed. It could have been a harpy or an ordinary wildcat. The witcher didn't stop to check. Part 4. About midday, while Roche was drinking the spring, the bear neighed piercingly and backed away, baring her yellow teeth and chewing her bit. Geralt calmed her with the sign. Then he noticed a regular ring formed by the caps of reddish mushrooms peering through the moss. You're becoming a real hysteric, Roche, he said. This is just an ordinary devil's ring. What's the fuss? The bear snorted, turning her head towards him. The witcher rubbed his forehead, frantic. Then he leapt into the saddle, turned the horse around, and started back, following his own tracks. Animals like me. Muttered. Sorry, Roche. It turns out you've got more brains than me. Part 5. The bear flattened her ears against her skull and snorted, throwing a burn in her hooves. She didn't want to go. Geralt didn't calm her with the sign. He jumped from the saddle and threw the reins over the horse's neck. He no longer had his own sword in its little skin sheath on his back. Its place was filled with a shining, beautiful weapon, with a crucible and slender,
That'll do.
well-weighted hilt, ending in a spherical helmet made of white metal. This time, the gate didn't open for him. It was already open, just as he left. He heard singing. He didn't understand the words and couldn't even identify the language. He didn't need to.
Reevaluate
Witchers felt and understood the very nature, the essence of its quiet, piercing song, which flowed through veins in a wave of nauseous, overpowering menace. The singing broke off abruptly, and then he saw her. She was clinging to the back of the dolphin in the dried-up fountain, embracing the moss-overgrown stone with her tiny hands, so pale they seemed transparent. Beneath her storm of tangled black hair shone huge, wide-open eyes the colour of anthracite. Geralt slowly drew closer. His step soft and springy, placing a semicircle from the wall and the dense bush. The creature, glued to the dolphin's back, followed him with her eyes, turning her petite face with an expression of charm. He could still hear her sobbing, even though her fear swayed not the slightest concern had emerged. The Witcher halted at a distance of 10 paces. His sword, slowly drawn with its black enamel sheath, glistened above his head. It's silver, he said. This blade is silver.
Ready to roll with this.
The anthracite eyes changed expression. It's like something which I didn't know. Could this see? Oh, sure. Black it was. But horses, for reason's sake, they recognize creatures like you instinctively and perfectly. What are you? I think you're a mover or an outlaw. No ordinary vampire could command this soul. The corners of the veins with Nivella attracted you with that shame-face, didn't he? You evoked his dreams. I can guess what sort of dreams they were, and I pity him. The creature. You like birds.
All set.
Also,
Well, that doesn't stop you biting the necks of people of both sexes, does it? You and Helen, indeed. A beautiful couple you make. A monster, a vampire. It's a forest castle. You dominate the whole area in a flash. You turn thirsty blood. He, your guardian, a murderer at your service, a blind to you. But first, you have become a true monster. A human being in a monster's mask.
What do you think?
Huge, black
Your style?
as an arrow. Where is the black-haired one? You were seen, so you drunk some blood. You've taken the ultimate measure, which means you haven't managed
This one's ready
slaying
to
his
go.
mind. Am I right? The black-dressed man, eyes, almost innocent, and calls him the tiny face, expression. Your mouth is in itself in its manner now. And long, it's like, are you a moon? A slow shift. The hiss which reverberated in his bones could only have come from pale, ghastly spine lips, although the witch didn't see them move. Alpo? You know. The witch cleared the fan away and clasped the hilt of his sword tighter. That means you are. The corners of the lips started to turn higher and higher. The lips flew open. Abruxa! The Witcher shouted, throwing himself toward the fountain. From behind the pale lips, he glistened white and spiky fangs. The vampire jumped up, arched back like a leopard, and screamed. The wave of sound hit the Witcher like a battering ram, depriving him of breath, crushing his ribs, piercing his ears and brain with thorns of pain. Flying backwards, he just managed to cross his wrists in the sign of Heliotron. The spell cushioned some of his impact with the ball, but even so, the world grew dark, and the remainder of his breath burst from his lungs in a groan. On the dolphin's back, the stone stood by the fountain, where a dainty girl in a white dress sat just a moment ago. An enormous black bat flattened its glossy body, opening its long, narrow jaws wide, revealing rows of needle-like white teeth. The membranous wings spread and flapped silently, and the creature charged at the Witcher like an arrow fired from a crossbow. Geralt, with a metallic taste of blood in his mouth, shouted a sound and threw his hand, fingers spraying the sign of red out in front of him. The bat, hissing, turned abruptly, then chuckled and veered up into the air before diving down vertically, straight at the nape of the Witcher's neck. Geralt jumped aside, slashed and missed. The bat, silvery, gracefully drew in a wing, circled around him and attacked anew, opening its eyeless, toothless snout wide. Geralt waited, sword held with both hands, always pointing in the creature's direction. At the last moment, he jumped, not to the side, but forward, dealing a swinging cut which made the air howl. He missed. It was so unexpected that he lost his rhythm and dodged a fraction of a second too late. He felt the beast's talons tear his cheek, and the damp, velvety wings slapped against his neck. He curled up on the spot, transferred the weight of his body to his right leg, and slashed backwards sharply, missing the amazingly agile creature again. The bat beat its wings, soared up, glided towards the fountain. As the crooked claws scraped against the stone casing, the monstrous, slobbering sound was already blurring, morphing, disappearing, although the pale lips in its place couldn't quite hide the murderous fangs. The Bruxa howled piercingly, modulating her voice into a macabre tune, glared at the Witcher with eyes full of hatred, and screamed again. The sound wave was so powerful, it broke through the sign. Black and red circles spun in Geralt's eyes, his temples and the crown of his head throbbed. Through the pain drilling in his ears, he began to hear voices wailing and moaning, the sound of flute, oboe, the rustle of a gale. The skin on his face grew numb and cold. He fell to one knee and shook his head. The black bat floated towards him silently, opening its jaws. Geralt, still stunned by the scream, reacted instinctively. He jumped up, and in a flash, matching the tempo of his movements to the speed of the monster's flight, took 3 steps forward, dodged, turned a semicircle, and then, quick as a thought, delivered a 2-handed blow. The blade met with no resistance. Almost resistance. He heard a scream, but this time it was a scream. Cords and touches. The wailing Bruxa was morphing the dolphin's back. On her white dress, slightly up, a red stain was it smash. The Witcher growled. Out to the sun, with a scratch. Shout, I'm higher. White cheek. Scream your guts out. Lose your strength, and I'll slash your pretty little head off. You, fox, which grow weak, sorcerer. The Bruxa's lips didn't move, but the Witcher heard the words clearly. They resounded in his mind, echoing and reverberating as if underwater. We shall see, he muttered through his teeth as he walked, bent over in the direction of the fountain. I will kill you. You. We shall see. Farina! Developed, his head hanging low, and both hands clinging to the doorway, stumbled to the mansion. He staggered towards the fountain, waving his paws unsteadily. Blood stained the back of his tunic. Farina! He roared again. The Bruxa jerked her head in his direction. Geralt, raising his sword to strike, jumped towards her, but the vampire's reaction was much faster. A sharp scream and another sound wave knocked the Witcher from his feet. He tumbled onto his back and scraped against the gravel of the path. The Bruxa arched and kicked to jump, her fangs flashing with daggers. The Devil spreading his paws at the back, trying to grab him, but she screamed straight into his face, throwing him back against the wooden scaffolding of the wall, which broke with a sharp crash and buried him beneath a sack of timber. Geralt was already on his feet, running, tracing a semi-circle to his foot, trying to draw the Bruxa's attention away from the villain. The vampire, fluttering her white dress, started straight at him, light as a butterfly, barely touching the ground. She was no longer screaming, no longer trying to move. The Witcher knew she was tired, and that she was still lethal. Behind Geralt's back, Nivellen was clattering at her scaffolding, roaring. Geralt leapt to the left, executing a short lunette with his sword to confuse the Bruxa, gliding towards him, white, black, wind-blown, terrible. He'd underestimated her. She screamed. He didn't make the sign in time, flew backwards until he thumped into the wall. The pain in his spine shot all the way to the tips of his fingers, paralyzed his shoulders, cut him down the legs. He felt at his knees. The Bruxa, wailing, jumped towards him. Farina! roared Nivellen. She turned, and Nivellen forced the sharp, broken end of the long pole to her breasts. She didn't shout. She didn't sob. The Witcher shook, gave her his side. They stood there. Nivellen, on wide, spread legs, was wielding the pole with both hands, one end firmly secured to his arm. The Bruxa was on one above the pin, out from the other end of the stake, clutching it with both hands. The vampires experienced excruciating pain, and suddenly, Festus got hard against the ceiling. Geralt watched the red stain gleam on the back, the white dress through which the broken tip emerged in a geyser of blood, hideous, almost obscene. He began to scream, took one step back, then another, retreating from her. But he didn't let go of the pole and dragged Bruxa behind him. One more step, he leaped back into the mansion, the end of the screaming. Slowly, as if a caress, Bruxa, her tiny hands along the stake, stretched her arms out to their full length, grasped the pole hard and pulled on it again. Over a meter of bloodied wood already protruded from her back. Her eyes were wide open, her head flung back. Her sighs became more frequent, rhythmic, turning to a ruffling wheeze. Geralt stood, and, fascinated by the scene, still couldn't make himself act. He heard words resounding dully